I'm super optimistic
about this president. And the reason I ask is because
I'm very optimistic that President Trump is serious about this regulatory agenda,
right.
and I think he has a good chance of succeeding.
What about the idea that he thinks that the press is the enemy?
Well, I think I'm going to try to talk him out of that idea. I don't think the press is the enemy. And I don't think, he's also, you've probably grown in the last 8 years. He has too. This is not the case. The press is not the enemy.
I hope you're right.
I hope.
It's really interesting because a lot of leftists hate Elon Musk because he owns X, but they don't really say much about Jeff Bezos, which owns Twitch. He owns the Washington Compost. But the question is Jeff serious about warming up to Donald Trump? And I would have to say that the culture is indeed changing. The first presidency of Donald Trump was marked with the fact that almost every single celebrity and rich people, at least on the surface, had to say that they don't like Trump. I mean, if you didn't say that and you were in Hollywood, you'd get fired. And if you're a rich person and you said that you like Donald Trump, then you would have activists, NGOs, people pressuring you, trying to get you canceled. And so seeing now that a lot of people, including Zuckerberg and Bezos, are openly saying in public that they like Trump, it's not necessarily that I believe them or not, but it's the fact that the culture has shifted to the point where they think they can say this in public without having any repercussions. And the reality is that there are no repercussions, which is a good thing. Now, whether they mean it or not, I don't know. Usually these people care about their empire, right? These people are not nationalists. And when I say these people, I mean, Jeff Bezos, Zucker, and all the other. We live in a time that's unlike anywhere in human history, where you have a person that sets up a company, and the company operates in different countries of the world. So they don't really feel allegiance to a nation state. They feel allegiance to their empire, to their company. So what's good for their company is what they care about. For them, humans are like human resources, like cogs in a machine. They literally don't care if it's Americans, if it's Canadians, if it's Indians. To them, it doesn't matter. To them, it's what's the profit? It's not necessarily just the profit. It's also the prestige of the company. It's also the size of it, the empire, right? That's how they view the world. And when you understand that, what rich people say makes a lot of sense. So, in this situation, you also need to take into account that they're still human beings. They still have emotions like you and I, even though their wealth is insurmountable. Our minds cannot even conceive the level of wealth that people like Jeff Bezos have. But despite all that, as I mentioned before, they're still humans. And Zuckerberg and many others, including Jeff Bezos, were actually very impressed by what Trump did after the assassination attempt. Immediately after that attempt, both Zuckerberg and Jeff tweeted out. And, seeing Trump say fight, 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 it actually made Zuckerberg moist. He was, it stirred up a patriotic spirit in me. I think he stopped short of an endorsement. But it is possible. No, I definitely think that certain individuals like Jeff and Zuckerberg were okay, well, I gotta say I like the guy. Maybe they don't like his politics. But the politics themselves are what actually matter. The politics themselves is what is going to influence Zuck and Jeff. And it was getting really bad in the United States. I mean, supporting the left as a rich person is really great for you. Because, the entire ideology is designed for people like Jeff Bezos. The woke ideology is there to serve Jeff Bezos. If you cut the bullshit and, the social justice and the minorities, fuck all that. Let's see what the ideology actually does. And what it actually does is it serves the interests of people like Bezos. How? Well, think about it. Almost everything, right? First of all, mass migration. Who benefits the most? Big companies, right? Big corporations. They get cheap labor. Sometimes, especially if it's an illegal citizen, so not even a citizen, it's illegal, that person can be placed in a factory, can be forced to work 10, 11 hours a day, sometimes even below minimum wage. And you don't even need to care that much about safety and regulations. And if they fuck up, you can threaten them with deportation. So, like, they're the best employee that you can ask for. Feminism, right? Like, the idea of promoting everything that's against the family unit. So, if you have a person that's married, well, they usually don't like working overtime. They usually have other obligations. When they get home, they have to actually spend time with the missus. But in a situation where he's divorced and he has like 2 kids and he's got to pay child support, well, now you have a person that's going to work hard as if he has a family. And when he goes home, he has time to answer customers and send business mail, so he can also work overtime, right? Everything is good for the company. And then the identity politics. It's not that you should look up and see Jeff oppressing you, not paying you, making you work more than you should. No, the problem is your colleague, because like the colleague is brown and you have privilege and you need to understand that he's a better person than you. So now you build resentment. And your colleague is like, well, this is a white guy and he's oppressing me and he has resentment. So now you have like this fighting and it makes it difficult to unionize. It makes it difficult for the workers to pull together. And so what ends up happening is that the entire ideology is there to serve people like Bezos. So why would they ever become right-wingers? And the answer is that at some point, this ideology has gone completely haywire. Like when you have Kamala Harris suggesting to tax unearned income gains, I think that's when Bezos were like, fuck it, I'm out. Like, I think even they started realizing, all right, like we pushed this ideology enough. It's time to backtrack a little bit. When you have a conflict with Israel and Palestine, and now people are protesting McDonald's because like some of their wrappings look like the Israel flag and shit. And you have like all these big companies going like, hold on a little bit, we do business with Israel. Like we cannot afford to have all these NGOs and activists and insane people that we've been grooming all the time turn on us and start protesting. So like it's time that maybe we swing the pendulum a little bit back. How much are they going to swing it back? I don't know. But what I do know is that I genuinely believe that the culture has shifted, that being right-wing and a little bit nationalist is more acceptable. And I do think that some of the elites, some of the wealthy people, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's people like Jeff, whether it's Zuckerberg, yeah, I generally think that they're realizing if we keep pushing the woke madness, eventually it's going to be bad for us. And for us, it's their business. So they're going to probably push a little bit back now. Anyway, that's just my take. We'll see what happens, and I'll also see you in the comment section. Take care.